Hello everyone, welcome to another live stream. How are you all doing? Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you can hear me well. If you can, give me a thumbs up or say yes in the chat because this is a new mic and I'm testing it. Can hear you. Perfect. Thank you, choir. Also, welcome to the chat. How are you doing? Hi, everybody in the chat. Let me say hello to everybody. Choir, Hunar, Akash, Hemant. Thank you for joining me this morning. I hope you're all doing great. This is a live stream where we're going to be building an API call, or we're going to be calling an API in TanStack Start. Before I get started, I want to say thank you to everybody who was super patient with me over the last 2 days when I was not feeling sick and had to take some time off and take some rest. I feel a lot better now. I still feel sleepless, but I'm doing a lot better now. Today's live stream is going to be really fun because last Wednesday we used TanStack Start to understand what are server functions, how to write to a file, how to read from a file, and today we're going to take that one step up and call an API. This is Richard. Oh, hey, Richard. Nice username. Hey, Kaizen, welcome. Good to see you here. Glad to hear you're doing better. Thank you, choir. Oh, now I see your profile as well. Oh, I have some exciting news to share. Over this weekend, I got monetized. So now we can do super chats and super goals. We started at, I think when I started this journey like 5 months ago, I had like 800 subscribers and now it is a lot more than that. And I am getting subscribed and I'm getting monetized. So I'm so excited for that. Happy about this creator journey. Monetization, let's go. Yeah. So thank you everybody for your support. I couldn't have done this without you, obviously. So I really appreciate you. Okay, how was everybody's weekend? This is a Monday. I am curious, what are you guys working on? And what are your goals this week? Let me know in the chat what you're working on this week. What are you learning? I have been learning how to build an MCP server and actually how to consume an MCP server. So working a lot on like that AI interface, and I have been working a lot on this TanStack Start example that I've been working on. So today we're going to build that together. Currently working on my mini series to delve deeper into React inbuilt hooks. Oh, that would be really cool. A quick good to know thing, async await under the hood called .then from promises. It's syntactic sugar of promise. Did you know that? Async await under the hood calls .then from promises. It's syntactic sugar of promise. Did you know that? Yes, it is actually syntactic sugar. It makes handling promises so much easier and cleaner with just one line. But yeah, under the hood, it's just .then. I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. Okay, we always start off with tell me where you are and what time it is where you are. So tell me where you are in the world and what time it is where you are. Meanwhile, I'm going to get my editor running. And I have my cup of chai. The live stream cup of chai. So we're going to be building the TanStack Start example, and then I have linked the GitHub in the URL of YouTube, so go check it out if you're interested. 11 in New Jersey and 14:14 right now. Oh wow. Oh yeah, New Jersey. 11:44 from Delhi. Akash, welcome. I am gonna be in Delhi in 15 days and we're planning to do a meetup. So let me know if you're interested in hanging out. Let's put some lo-fi music. Yes, would love to. Oh, awesome. Okay, I will keep you posted. I'll post it on Twitter once we organize the date and the venue. Most likely it'll be May 17th, but I'll let you know where it's going to be. I have so many tabs open that I'm like, where is my editor? The editor ran away. Basically. Okay. I do have it here. All right, so let's get started. What are we going to do today? On Wednesday, we talked about what TanStack Start is. We did a little basic 101 of it. Let me also put the music down a bit. we also did a little basic of what TanStack start is, and then we ended up, music is a bit too loud. I hope it's a little soft now because I turned it down. But if it's still loud, let me know. I will put it all the way down. That should be good. It's 2% now. That should be good. Okay, so we talked about like what TanStack Start is, and we talked about some of the major things of TanStack Start. So I'm going to get into the docs once again and give you a quick overview if you are joining this stream for the very first time. And also if you are joining this stream for the first time, tell me first timer. Last stream we had over 1,000 people, and I was amazed because that was the first time we crossed 1,000 viewers of the stream. Oh, damn. I'm still in shock and awe. But thank you, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is going to be TanStack Start, but today we're going to focus on create server functions and calling an API. Hello, Harsh. And random guy, welcome back. If you're a first timer here, I would love to know that you are here first time. But if you've been here before, tell me I'm a seasoned person. So we talked about what TanStack Start was, and we talked about getting started, which we looked at a few examples. One of the examples that we did not look at, and one of the easiest way we did not look at, was a what's the name? Create TanStack Start. Okay, one of the ways we did not look at was this equivalent of a create React app, which is a create TS router app. It's one of the easiest ways to get started by with TanStack Start, and also having TanStack Router as well. So why don't we get started with TS Router today? If you have not checked it out, it is in TanStack Start's repo as well. I will share the link in the chat. Check out TS Router. So let's go ahead and clone this, and I'm going to start off from the top, and I'm going to start a new project. Actually, let's close this. Let's start a new project. And we're going to write CD development. And let's make it here, git clone. Oh no, what is the file? Create TS router app. So you do create TS. Oh, okay, hold on. I have totally forgotten all of my commands. So let me go ahead and find them. This is what happens when you're out for like 2 days, and once you come back, you're like, wait, what was I doing? What do I do again? Okay, So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start here and we're going to write PNPX. And if this doesn't work, we're going to go the old school route. PNPX. Create, it's probably too small, isn't it? Create TS router app, and let's hit what we see. Okay, let's configure your TanStack application. This is the easiest way to set up a TanStack project, so let's go ahead and try this. What would you like to name your project? Let's say jokes live stream app. File router or code router? I'm going to say file router. Would you like to use Tailwind CSS? Yes. Select toolchain. Let's do ESLint and Prettier. Installing dependencies. Cool. All set up. I'm going to go into this jokes live stream app PNPM start. Also, I started using PNPM recently. I am loving it so far. I've been meaning to make the switch for a long time, and I think it's pretty nice that I don't have to keep installing node modules over and over again, especially the ones that I already have. So actually, let's open Chrome because I don't like debugging in Arc. Localhost 3000, all set, it's all ready to go. So what did it do so far? It generated routes, updated this, created a route tree, generated route as well, and got us in localhost 3000. This is all Vite setup. Let's go ahead and run this. Let's see what we see. New window, bring this up here, localhost 3000. Cool, perfect. We've got a TanStack app running. Now this is a TanStack app, not a TanStack start app, and that is because I did not choose the right configuration, which is fine. So let's open this in code. What was it? TanStack. Let's find our editor again. Also, there's a little like Easter egg in here, which is there's a TanStack logo here. I saw that recently and I was like, this is so cute, little details. Oh, Akash, thanks for tipping. I think you're my first tipper ever. Oh, thank you, Akash. So sweet. You're doing amazing. Thank you for doing it. By the way, first timer. Welcome, seasoned first timer. Hi, Coding Jesus. Behind the screen is Create React App, which is outdated. Why it's used here? Any reasoning? Create React App. Where is it? I don't think I have Create React App. Create TS router app. Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Alrighty. Now we have, okay, so I'm also going to show you what you get when you use the TS router thing. So this is a TanStack router. I think this is just TanStack router. And then what you get back with this is in your source, you've got routes, you've got the route file, route.tsx. Perfect. And then you also have your route tree, which is how TanStack router this is the file that TanStack router generates. It helps TanStack router understand which all routes there are, and that's all there is basically. It's pretty simple, straightforward. Now this is a TanStack router app. To go from TanStack router to TanStack start, all we need to do is add a server file, ssr.tsx, which we were looking at yesterday. And there is one more file, which is client.tsx. That's all we need to do. TanStack today would love to deep dive, as has been hearing this a lot. Cool. So this is the easiest way to set up a TanStack project, right? Last time we looked at like the manual configuration and how to like add different files yourself, but this is the easiest way to get everything set up. And if you're looking at setting up TanStack, I would recommend this route. It's kind of like Create React app for TanStack. Cool. Now that we have that, let's go back and go into our documentation, TanStack start. One of the things I talked about last time was create server functions, and I said we'll talk about it in detail today. So let's take a look. I'm going to look for create server functions. Server functions. Okay. There, server functions. Okay. So we talked about this briefly last time, but let's go ahead and talk about this once again. What are server functions? Server functions, like the name suggests, is actually functions that run on the server. But the really cool thing is that they can be invoked almost anywhere. Tanner, how's it going? How is the new search working out for you? Okay, so if I look for server functions or like create server, I guess it's code, so it didn't search it, but let's look for, oh, I like that there's a keyboard shortcut. But if I look for server functions, it doesn't take me to the page that I wanted it to take me to. And it's good that I know where the page is, but it would have been nice if the page was the first thing. Unless if this is what it is. No, that's not what it is. So maybe some indexing needs to happen. Some prioritized indexing needs to happen. Because I don't see server functions in here. Query router table. What page is this? Server rendering and hydration. Okay, so yeah, it actually took me back to TanStack server. So it would have been nice if it actually took me to server functions directly. Functions. But anyways, can definitely be better. I think the experience is more reliable, but the index needs some work. Yeah. Any prerequisite, is it necessary to know TS? Oh, that's a great question, Piyush. Actually, I was going to cover that in the video as well. Any prerequisites? I think the prerequisite that I would say is understanding how, well, TS definitely helps because most of it is how it, even if you don't know TypeScript, I think just JavaScript itself helps. So JavaScript for sure. Knowing TypeScript definitely helps because it's heavily typed. And I think understanding how server rendering works helps as well. I wouldn't even say it helps. I think it's crucial. So server rendering, how that works. Okay, so we talked about server functions briefly. So the main points about this that we have to remember is that they can be run only on the server, but what's cool is that can be invoked anywhere. They are similar to API routes, but they're a little bit different from API routes with the fact that they do not have a public URL and they can be called anywhere in your application, unlike API routes. But what is cool is that you have access to request context. So it means it kind of operates like an API route, except you can have it on the client as well. And they can have access to sensitive information and stuff. And they return any value. So one of the things that people have asked was that how are they similar to Next.js server functions? And I will answer that later when we look at the code. But one thing that I really liked about server functions is that they come with a validator. You can add a validator to it. So what this helps is that let's say that you're creating an API route, or you want to fetch an API using TanStack using server functions, you can kind of do validation on the server itself as you go, instead of having to let your backend do the server validation, or like let your API do the server validation. So it's nice that you can kind of do the validation before even sending the data over, which can be really cool. And why that can be cool is, like, let's say that you have a form and you're expecting a bunch of different fields. You can do validation of the form on the fly, instead of having to wait for like the user to submit the form and then wait for that data to come back. So it's very nice to do that. And then validation libraries can also use Zod, which we are familiar with. Comes with type safety, inference, server functions infer the input and output types based on the validator. Let's take a look. Form data, server function context, accessing the request context. Oh, so this is how like you can request, you can access request context. We've got to create server function, and the data comes back in get web request. Okay, I think it'll be better if we just start getting into the code and understanding how create server functions work. So let me get my code running. I've got a file already. So let me open that up. Okay, I've been putting together this example for understanding how TanStack start works. So I want to walk you through that example now. And check out the main branch. Git checkout main. I've got some adding jukes. Git checkout main. All right. What do I have in here? Right. Okay, so if you were here yesterday, you might remember, or Wednesday, you might remember that we've been creating this jokes app, right? So let me npm run dev this, show you what we've created so far. Localhost 3000 is now changed. Localhost, let's go ahead and run this. And I'm going to move this over to here. Oh, wrong screen. Move this over to here. Namaste, Tushar. For a second there, I thought that was Tanner, and I was like, wait, Tanner knows Hindi now? Okay, so, all right, so what were we doing? Oh no, I killed it. All right, npm run dev. Move this on the side. Oh my God, what did I do? Tanner will be live on 30th April. Tanner is coming actually to do a one-on-one with us, TanStack Start 101. He's coming on May 7th. Let me actually show you. YouTube. So not this Wednesday, but the next Wednesday. Live. There you go. TanStack 101 with Tanner Lindsley on May 7th at 10 a.m. I will see you there. And I want you to tell me the questions that you want me to ask him. This is going to be a live stream, so you can answer your questions in the chat as well. But I'm going to prepare a list of all the questions that you would like me to ask him. So put that in the chat of the live stream. And here you go. Okay, meanwhile, our app is running, npm run dev, npm run dev this. And index.tsx, localhost, data reload. There you go, perfect. I think my Tailwind is not configured properly, which is fine. And I'm not seeing the styles load in, which is fine, no big deal, we can fix that later. But what I want to show you here is that this is the app where I've added I was demoing this on Wednesday, and this is the app where I've added the ability to add a joke to a file and then read from that joke. So what happens is, you'll see here, I'm actually curious why the styles are not loading. Let's get a quick look. Console. Okay. Get jokes from API. Gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna juke this and then save this. Jokes out. Oh no! I've got a file within a. I've got a jokes app within if jokes app. So let's move that to trash. Cannot read properties of undefined, reading update. Entry, starting, restart. Okay. Route tree. Okay, route, and then I think the only problem is that I actually had a new route in here called Chuck Norris, and I probably exported too much. I probably commented out too much. So go ahead, pop this out, comment this out. There you go. Comment this out. There you go. And comment this out. Okay, fix this for me, please. There you go. Perfect. Okay, nice. I've got styles, I've got jokes. So let me show you what we did last time. And if you remember, we were using something called create server function to create two server functions. One with the method of get that was able to read from the files on our computer. We provided a file called jokes.json. Data.json that had all of the jokes that we are rendering on the page. And then we also created a new server function called post, which adds a joke to that file. So if I add a new dev joke here, let's see, what dev jokes do we have? What did the terminal say to GitHub? Get out of here. I'm gonna ask, should I ask Claude to tell me a joke? Tell me a dev joke. Why do programmers prefer dark mode? Because light attracts bugs. Okay. Give me another one. Should be funny. Why do Java developers wear glasses? Because they can't see sharp. Okay, fine. I'll use this. Why do Java developers wear glasses? And then if I copy this over, copy this in here, add joke, it goes to the bottom of the list. It does a, what? Please double check responses. Oh shit, look at this. Because they can't see sharp, retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double check responses. I think I pasted too much. So let's go ahead and edit our jokes JSON. Because that's where the data is coming from. Because they can't see sharp. Okay, but if you see here that our file is actually updated with the new joke that we added. Why do Java developers wear glasses? Because they can't see sharp, and because the file updated, we also updated the route, and I've got my new updated joke here. This is all TanStack start. How did we do this? Very simple. I'll show you what we did. We actually created first we created two actions, a get and a post. Get for reading the files, post for putting data into the files. Then we created a joke service, which basically does the actual job of reading the file. So I've got a read jokes function here that uses JSON, that uses fs.promises read file, uses data, like reads data into JSON and sends it back. In the add joke function, all we do is we create an object, add an ID, add the question and the answer that the user posted, and send that back by writing it as JSON. Simple stuff. But today we're going to do something fun. So we've got like reading and writing from ew JavaScript. Don't say ew to JavaScript because the web runs on JavaScript. So today we're going to do something fun. We're going to add a new route here called Chuck Norris. And then what I want to do is that when I get to this route, I want to actually fetch a Chuck Norris joke. If you don't know what Chuck Norris joke is, I don't even know how to explain. Oh, actually, this might be good. Few celebrities have sparked a cult following, like the roundhouse kicking Chuck Norris. The action star practically has a second career inspiring memes and jokes thanks to his tough guy reputation. Luckily, there are more than enough funny check. Okay, so there is actually a whole like API that renders Chuck Norris jokes, and you can call it to render a random Chuck Norris joke. So this is what Chuck Norris jokes are. But what we're going to do is, what I want to do is that when I hit this endpoint / Chuck Norris, I want to make a request to the Chuck Norris API. And then I want to be able to fetch a joke, render that on the page. Now, chucknorris.tsx is a file in routes, and that is how we're able to like navigate to / Chuck Norris. So if you look at it here, I've got a create file route / Chuck Norris. Let's pause this for a second. I've got a / Chuck Norris file. A component is route component, which is what I'm going to create here. I'm actually going to update this to Chuck Norris component. And then I'm going to do this. Okay, so now let's call an API so that we can fetch a joke as soon as we land on this page. And every time we land on this page, I want to refresh and add a new joke. So basically all we're going to do is make a request to the API, get the data, and put that in our file. Put that in our UI. So how do we do that? In order to do that, we had this, we were creating this functions in joke actions, right? We've got a get jokes action, we've got a add jokes action. We can create a new server function within these actions itself. And we're going to call it export const get jokes from Chuck Norris API. All right, and I'm going to create a server function. See, it already knows what to do, but I'll walk you through as I write this. So I'm going to create a server function with a method of get and then a oh wow, what? That's not what I want, bro. With a method of get and then the handler there. So what am I going to do here? I'm just going to call a create a server function, which is going to fetch the API for me. This is actually the no, this is not the API actually. I think I had the API in here. Let me see where the API is. Chuck Norris API. Oh, maybe that is the API. Oh yeah, that is the one. Okay, so this is the API that we're going to use. Pretty print this. So what you see here is that this comes with a joke called in the value field, and then it comes with a icon as well, icon URL. So we want this icon URL, we want this value, and we can use this ID as well, but actually we don't need this ID. So here's the joke. In the time it takes you to read this sentence, Chuck Norris will free 200 POWs from prisoner of wars from a Vietnamese prison camp, roundhouse kick Saturn, and expose a dozen lucky women to love so intense that they will be incinerated. So that's the joke. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this API, we're going to capture the joke, and we're going to send that joke back over. And then we're just going to, and then on our routes file, which is the Chuck Norris file, we're going to use this loader function, this loader capability of the route. And then we're going to get, get jokes from Chuck Norris API, and then we're just going to call get jokes from Chuck Norris API. And when this executes, because this is part of the router, when this executes, you already have data within the loader itself. So then in your component, all you need to do is call the router and then use the data that comes back from the router. So we're going to see what data we have. We're going to use the use loader data, and that's going to be part of loader. And then we're just going to extract our router out of it. I think it's called router dot, how do I get the router? Let's see. I want loader data out of router. TanStack. Oh, okay. So same way. So we've got the loader, which we've got here, and then in order to consume the data, we just gotta get router.useLoaderData. We don't need this actually. So let's do router.useLoaderData, and I've got that, and I'm just gonna log what I get back. So look at that. I'm already getting the data back. I've got this page, and then this is the data I'm getting back. So I'm getting categories, I'm getting created ad, icon URL, ID, updated URL, value. So let's get the value out of this. So let's say that const joke is equal to route.useLoaderData, and then I'm going to render this data on the page. By getting the icon URL out of it, the joke.value is going to be my text, and then let's leave that. So let's see. This is pretty small. Do I have Tailwind in here? Oh, I do. All right. So let's give it a big text. And then add a class name of flex. There you go. Margin X auto. Cool. So this is what we get back. We get back a joke from the API that we just fetched, and every time we land on this page, we get more and more jokes. We get a different joke. Now let's see what's happening in the background. So if I look at my network call, go at the bottom, reload this. Oh no, what happened? Wait, why did it die all of a sudden? Localhost. Okay. Network. And then I'm going to go to /Chuck Norris. Oh, that's weird. My API route failed all of a sudden. Or like my page route failed all of a sudden. Reload this, network. And then go to /Chuck Norris. What happened? All. Oh, okay, here. No resource with given identifier was found. Huh. I don't know what happened. Localhost. Okay, there you go. I don't know what happened. Okay, reload this. Okay, cool. Some of these jokes are crazy. All right, so let's look at the network tab now. So I'm going to give it a reload. If you get a chance, try searching for server functions again. Okay, let's do it. Oh no, it died again. Why does my URL keep dying on me? Cancelled. I don't know, that's weird. I didn't even change anything. I do have a response here. That's probably from the last time I reloaded this. And then if I reload again, okay, that's working. But now, okay, let's see. Let's see if I can reproduce this issue. If I go to network, I'm going to reload this again. Why? You don't have internet access? Of course I have internet access. I'm totally gonna block you, and you should remember that this is a safe chat, and we don't become bullies in this chat. Oh, I have offline mode enabled. Do I? Wait. When did I do that, and why did I do that? Oh my God. Why did I do that? I don't even know when I did that. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Alrighty, fighting bullies today, but here we are. Cool. So, okay, let's reload this again. Go to my network tab. So let's find out what we see when we give it a reload. I'm going to get rid of all of this. I'm going to reload this. So the first thing that happens is we call this endpoint called /Chuck Norris. Where is that coming from? That's coming from here. And then let's see the response, let's see what I'm sending over. So I'm going to send, I'm not sending anything because it's a get call, right? So I'm getting this, not sending any parameters, which makes sense. And then once I call this, I'm getting this data back from the server. But what does the router, what fetch calls are we making? So give it a hard reload. No fetch calls are being made. And why is that? Why do you think no fetch calls are being made even though we're calling an API? The server function results are being sent with the original HTML. Exactly. So what's happening is we're actually not making the call from the client side, and therefore what we're getting back is actually the data that the server is sending back. Because you're waiting there when the loader data is serialized to the client. Exactly. So this is coming from here, get jokes from Chuck Norris API, and this is happening on the server. So we're actually not calling an API from the client side, which is cool because that means that we're sending less data and less work over the client side. The fetch is happening on the server, not the client. Exactly. Exactly. And therefore, when we look at sources, we see that we don't actually, and when we look at network, we see that we actually don't have any fetch calls, even though we were calling an API on the server side. Because the API is being called on the server, that means we're not sending the data to the client. So that means less things to worry about on the client. And let's see what our loader gives back to us. So look at this file, Chuck Norris. What is this? What is the extension of this file? I think this is the response that we get back. This is the response that we get back from the Chuck Norris URL itself, which is this file that we created using the router. And the response that we get back is this server rendered response. So we've got TSR, SSR. We've got a whole stream of data that can come back in here. And this is where we like put in the data that's going to come back from the server. Got some promises in here. And this is where the data is. So we've got the data in here, loader data, and this is when we call the route.use loader data. This is the data that we actually look at. We've got categories in here, created at, and the joke itself is right in here, and it's serialized right here. Oh, this is interesting. We've got some info that says injected from server, TSSR, SSR. Before load context categories, this is what we're getting back from the API. And then we've got some dehydrated stuff. Manifest, route, preloads. Oh, we can also define what we want to preload right here. Assets, and a bunch of other things. And then we literally have like the entire HTML rendered as with the text that we need right in here, which is super cool. So we're actually doing very little work on the client side. Hi, General. Cool. Okay, so basically what's happening is that we've created a new server function called get jokes from Chuck Norris API, and basically we're offloading the work of calling the API on the server, so that when we call our router, when we let our router know that this is the server function you need to call, the router actually at that point already has information serialized within its data here through router dot use loader data is how we can get that data that came back from the server. And if you look here, this is data that's coming back from the server rendered already right in here. Oh, go back. Right in here, we've got the data in loader data, all server rendered. And in order to get it back, in order to just serialize it, in order to just render it on the page, we've got that within the HTML itself. Where are you from? I'm from Seattle, streaming in PT, Pacific time zone. It is 12 o'clock here. Okay, one final thing I want to do is that actually add this like handle click function. And basically what I want to do is that anytime I want to create a new joke, I would like to add a button, on click, handle click, get another joke, and then I just want to fetch from the API again. And we were talking about like why we need to do router.invalidate. So I want to kind of talk about that right now. Get jokes from Chuck Norris API. Cool. And let's actually make this button a little bit better. Need some padding as well. Are you using tab 9? I am not using tab 9. I don't know what tab 9 is. Okay. Padding 20. That's a huge button. Cool. So just adding a button here, and basically, you see like the first time it actually like reloads that page. We're gonna fix that. But you see, if I click on get another joke, we're gonna see again what happens in the background. So let me get this, reload this. So when I click get another joke, is anything happening? Alrighty, we'll get rid of this. Oh, thank you for subscribing and following, you guys. Okay, if I get another joke, let's see what's happening. So we've got something that happened on the server. So we've got the server function request. So we call the API basically, and if I look at this, what is the name of this? App server joke actions TS get joke from Chuck Norris. Basically, I've called the server function again, and the result that I get back is I have a new joke in here. Chuck Norris has volunteered to remain on Earth after the rapture. He will spend his time fighting the Antichrist. Cool. But if I get but this joke over here hasn't updated. So if I get another joke, again, a new request is being made to the API, and we're getting a new joke in here, but the data is not updating. And this is where we need that router.invalidate. Router.invalidate. And why is that? Because this data would be cached, right? So we need to let the router know that it needs to refetch or like update the data that it has in its loader or in its in the file. Basically, update the data that it has in its cache. And the reason we are doing this is because we're basically mutating the data that should be within the page. So for example, we fetch a new API, and that's the data that we want to render on the page. So we have to let our router to update the data that it has. I think you do route.invalidate. Is it router? No, hold on. Route, oh. Const, this is where I needed to use router. And then I just gotta do, and because this needs to move out here, I gotta do router.invalidate. Okay. And then reload this. Okay, now if I give it another click, get another joke, and now the data also updates because we're updating the cache that was in, we're updating the data that was in the cached version of the router. And then one thing that's really cool is that I'm going to get rid of this and I'm going to show you. So if I click on get another joke, I'm only getting the part that needs to be re-updated. So I'm calling the joke action server. I'm calling the server action still the joke action server, which is where I call this Chuck Norris API, and it only gives me back the part that needs to update, which is the value, basically the response from joke. I could also do something smart, which is go to my Chuck Norris API. Instead of returning the joke, I'm going to return actually, let's see if I can do this, joke.value and then icon URL and value joke.value and Chuck Norris, and I've got joke in here, and I'm going to get value and icon URL. And so now I'm just going to render that stuff. Okay, give it a reload. Cool. Okay, now I'll show you again what we get back. So I click get another joke. Now you see the only thing that I get back is value and icon URL. And why this is helpful is because if we have an object that has like hundreds of different fields or lots of heavy data, we don't have to send the whole object over. We can be smart enough and only send the object that we need or the fields that we need. So this way we're going to store less data and we're going to invalidate the cache and the router when the data has updated. And we have to fetch less data. So less data over the network. So again, if you see now, I only get, I don't know why I'm running this twice, but that is something that I can take a look at later. Oh no, I clicked this twice, didn't I? Oh, this does come twice. I could be doing something wrong. But anyways, this is how we call an API in TanStack start. So again, a few different things we did. We added a action. We added a server action within our joke actions file, which is create server function. This is where we call the API. And why we're not calling it from the client side is because we don't need to call the data from the client side itself. We can actually let the server do the job. Then we are putting that data in a create server function. It gets sent over as part of a serialized data and gets server rendered from the server action, and we can get it in the loader using use loader data. And all we're going to do is get the value and icon URL out of it, call our server function in here, and we've got our data on the server, on the client. Hey Nimoy, no worries. And that's how we call an API. Let me know if you have questions in the chat. Watching from India. Nice to see you, General. Okay, let's see if you have any questions in the chat. If you don't, I have a poll for you. I'm going to start a poll and I'm going to ask you a question. This is going to be a tricky question. Okay, here's a question for you. This is in YouTube, so click a button that seems reasonable to you. How can we call an API in TanStack start? Use query, fetch call in the component, create server function, or something else. I demonstrated one of those techniques today, but how do you think we can call an API in TanStack start? I see that some people have used use query. I know this is a tough question, but feel free to pick a choice. It doesn't have to be the right one. Why you make handle click async? Because we have an await in here. Create server functions. Awesome. Oh, I should also commit this code so you can check it out. Okay, a lot of people are picking create server function. Some people are picking use query. Let's see, what other things do you think we can use? Git status, git remote v. Well, this is not the URL that I want. Remote alone, git remote origin, git remote add origin, and this thing. Cool. What is TanStack? Is this repo public? Yes, this repo is public. TanStack. TanStack is actually a suite of different tools developed by Tanner, Lindsley, and the team. High quality open source software for developers. Some of the main things that TanStack has is router, query, and now start as well. In this stream, we've been talking about TanStack Start. You can kind of think of TanStack Start as a Next.js alternative. Main thing is that it supports client side and it's client first, but it is basically based on SSR streaming. Git diff git add. I think I don't need to add the route tree generated files. Git ignore. Oh, it isn't here. And then we need the git add, git commit, adding API route. No, API call. Git push. Okay. Git push origin main. There you go. I think now you should have all of the files, all of the data in here. Yes. And this is the GitHub. Okay, so let's see, what does the poll say? We have people who say use query and create server functions. Actually, the truth is that all three of them are the right answer. You can fetch calling component, like you can do a fetch calling component, you can use query, you can use create server functions, but create server functions and then calling the API on the server is the recommended route because you send less data to the client. And it's automatically server rendered. Cool. So that is all the stuff I have for you today. But before I leave, I would like to know, where are you? Where are you in your tech journey? Where are you in your tech journey? Are you just starting out? Are you learning to code? Have you been coding for a long time? Are you a seasoned developer, or are you somebody who's just enthusiastic about tech? Where are you in your tech journey? Let me know in the chat. I would love to know. And the reason why I'm asking is because it helps me to understand how much background to give in live streams, but also what kind of content to make for my YouTube channel. Isn't it recommended to use query with server functions? Yes, that is what the recommendation is. I didn't actually get to that in this stream today, but that is the recommendation. I work as a software engineer, but I still do watch your stream. Oh, thank you, AB Darker. I'm trying to go for research my true love right now. Oh, what kind of research? And what do you do right now? I have a question. Can we actually use query in server function? Is it going to complain about the use client thing? Oh, that's a great question. Let's actually take a look at the docs. Because create server functions can be called on the client itself, you can use them on the component side as well. But do you need to use query? I don't know. Let's take a look. TanStack start docs. I think in one of the examples it actually uses TanStack query. So let's take a look. Getting started, examples, basic plus React query. Let's see. So we've got a TanStack. I think post might be a good one. Create file route. Use suspense query, which is the same kind of thing. Then we've got where is our create server function? Let's take a look at what is util/post. I have a feeling that might be a server function. Oh yeah, so fetch post is a server function. And then we've got create server function right here. So let's see who's using fetch post. We've got fetch posts and fetch post. Post query options is not. Okay, let's see who's calling fetch posts. In this file, posts, post.index, post.route, fetch post. I don't see fetch post in here. Post.id, post.component, post query options. Hi, Aradhana. Hold on, I want to find out the answer to this. Users.id, so I've got create file IP root, users, deferred index, post.postid. Okay, post.index, create file route, post index component, post.route, and for create file around post query options. Oh, okay. You know what? I think post query options might define that. Post query options has, okay, query key is post, fetch post. Query function is fetch post, and that's the one that calls create server function. Okay, good. So we're actually looking for post query options. Then in the file post.index or post.route, we've got a query. We've got a query right here, post query options. So you don't need to do like use client. Use suspense query would understand. Like use query would understand. You don't need to do use client. Research in machine learning if I get a chance. Otherwise, we'll stick with research paper and system design. Currently doing nothing on a break. Might go for a job, master's or a job. I would say go for a job. Research in machine learning, I mean, if you find a job that does machine learning at work, then you can do most of that stuff at work itself and get paid for it. Of course, you're like, Of course, your focus can be different and the area that you specialize in can be different in machine learning if you go for research. But if you go for a company that you feel excited about the product and the research that they are doing, then you can do the same sort of stuff and learn most of that stuff at the job while getting paid for it. While some companies may require you to have masters to apply for a machine learning data scientist role, if you have enough experience to prove and projects to show, you don't need that. Okay, what time is it? Okay, we have 2 minutes left. Let's see, are there any questions I can answer about use query, create server functions, anything? Given I'm not an expert on this, so I'm working on this with you, but let me know if you have any questions. In case you don't know, I also want to tell you that we have Tanner Linsley also coming on one of these streams. You guys requested last time to have Tanner Linsley on the stream, and so he graciously agreed. That word is so hard. Graciously agreed to come. He's going to be here on May 7th. I think it's time to show the live stream again. View your channel. Wait, no, not this. Not this. This one. He's going to be here on May 7th at 10 a.m. So I will see you there. Well, but except we're going to come tomorrow as well. Tanner. If you would like to be if you would like to participate in that stream, make sure you hit subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon because people don't get notified unless you hit that bell icon. And we're going to be taking questions from the audience as well. So if you've got questions, please put them in the chat. You can already put them in the chat actually right now, and I will pick your answers. So you can put your question right here in the chat. And I will put, hello, everyone. Cool. Well, that's all I have for you today. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna pick up this page that we've been building on. I will share again what we did today. So we were able to call an API and we were able to fetch that API and like load that data on the screen. But what happens is that we actually have a few things we need to do, like the data, the styles haven't loaded. There's better things we can do. It feels like it's calling it twice. So there is some things that we can fix. We're going to do that tomorrow. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.